Good morning, good morning, good morning. This is Chris Stager, Realtor, Century 21 Pinnacle, coming to you from a very, very, very cold Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Listen, today is, I'm going to be a little selfish. Today, we have a special guest, Neal Oates Jr. He is the owner of world-renowned real estate in Miami, Florida, Dade County. While real estate's his profession, growth, personal development, and sharing an attitude of excellence with everyone in with Neal's passion. So, Neal, how's it going today?
It's going well because it is not 0 degrees, man. We were talking and you told me how cold it was up there. Keep it, Chris. We don't want that down here, man.
Cold enough to keep the kids out of school.
Well, trust me, I sent my son to school in shorts and a short sleeve polo shirt. So life is totally different down here in Miami, man.
Oh, yeah. No, I was thinking we had a little bit of discussion before, but I don't remember having so many days off. I don't remember not going to school because it was too cold, walking to school uphill.
Stop. Chris, you do understand that right now you just turned into your dad, and this is that moment. I want you to think of today as that moment when you told your story. When I was going to school, we never had snow days. So congratulations, sir. You just became your dad and your grandfather and everyone else.
Thank you. And he'll probably watch this. So he'll tell me something even worse than I would say. So listen, who is Neal Oates Jr.?
I think first Neal Oates Jr. is a man. And I say that in the sense that I try to ascribe to being what the Bible says a man is, what my dad taught me a man is. First of all, being respectful, being honest. So I think that's the biggest part. Next to that, I'm a husband to my wife, Joanna. We've been married for 2 years. And I've been a father to my son he's 10, so I guess 10 years now. I may have slipped a couple of days in there. Then business owner, friend. I like to describe myself as a good guy because I still believe that the good guys win in the end. And that's a message that I'm always trying to share. So when they say, Neal, who are you? I say, I'm just a good guy, and my goal is to, I guess, share that message that good guys win, good gals win with everyone, because I believe that we see the other side with the appearance that they're always coming out on top. So that's who I am.
Absolutely. And I can attest to that. When I met you, I want to say 3 months ago, 3.5 months ago, yes. Just how you came across was just super friendly, wanting to get to know everybody in the room. And couldn't have asked for anything better. I mean, you were fantastic when I met you, and it's continuing today. So, much appreciated.
You for that, sir. And so real quick on that note, why I'm intentional about wanting to meet and know and find out about everyone is because everyone has stuff, right? I know this morning you have stuff. We don't know what your stuff is, but you do, right? I have stuff going on. And for me to be able to ask someone or to impart in them, hey, how are you? What are you doing? I care about what's going on with you today. I mean, like I said, when I end every class that I'm teaching, I always tell everyone, regardless of the demographic of the class or the location, I always say, hey, I love you. And because I never know when the last time someone heard I love you, right? And so it's kind of corny. But that's one of the things that I always talk about being, and you'll find out there's a lot of corny stuff about me. I'm handsome, but I am quirky and weird, right? And I don't even know how handsome I am. That's just I tell myself this stuff all the time.
Oh boy. Okay. All right. Well,
you didn't know what you got yourself into.
I did not. I do not know what I got myself into. So listen, Mr. World-renowned real estate. When did you realize that real estate, and homes were a passion of yours?
I got in the industry in 2007, so a horrible time to get in the industry. Horrible, because we were on the back end already down here in Miami of the crunch. I think it really hit me, and I became in love with it in about 2009. So 2 years in, and that's when I really started, because from 2007 2009. I was working on the REO side of the business. So it was just cranking out numbers. And the money was good. But in 2009, that's when I began to help families and not work for, the banks or the REO. accounts, but starting to help families and get them into homes, because I sold a lot of real estate from 2007 and 2009, but I didn't help a single family get into a home or sell their home until 2009. And when I started to see the economic impact, but more so the spiritual and the emotional impact that just, what we take for granted as a simple transaction.
Yeah.
And when I saw the impact that it had, I fell in love with it. And I knew that it was right up there.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the greatest feeling, is just, helping helping all families, just better their situation. That's really why I do it as well. So how did your passion for loving real estate snowball into the success you created now? I mean, you do so many things besides real estate now. I mean, they're speaking, which is how I met you. Very, very active in the church as well. I mean, there are so many things, and probably, how did that all correlate?
Well, it begins with, like I said, passion. When you love what you do, and I know it's cliches, but when you love what you do, you find an energy to keep going. And I believe that passion is felt, right? Passion isn't heard, it's not seen, but passion is felt. So when I'm, doing a transaction, I love single family homes down here in Miami-Dade and Broward County. So I'm passionate about single family homes. Condos, not so much. And my clients can feel that. So what I started realizing is that I should refer out the condos, because my clients, they aren't going to feel the love that I have for them in the transaction in real estate if it was for a condo. And the way that translates across everything I do, I know that I'm fortunate to do what I do, where I'm doing it, with the people that I'm doing it with. So I want to live big, right? And I believe that with everything that I do, whether it's, selling real estate, teaching classes, or interacting with kids at our youth ministry at church, there's a bigger reason than whatever I'm doing. So if I'm selling real estate, I'm here for a bigger reason than selling real estate. If I'm here teaching a class, it's bigger than the class. If it's with the kids, it's bigger than the kids. And everything I'm doing is bigger than me. And I understand that. And so I really believe that I gained that, or I really kicked into full gear in October of 2013. I was in an ATV accident, and I broke my leg, had a compound fracture, had a TIA, blood clots, lost vision for a couple of days, and then I stroked. I had a stroke. And so that was October 23rd of 2013. And that's the day when I flatlined and they had to bring me back. And I realized on October 23rd, 2013, that I'm here for a bigger purpose, because at the age of 31, I was almost gone. And so I believe that anyone that has already come to and so you know how to say YOLO, like you only live once. I'm like, nope, this is my second time around. So for myself, when I saw what I had accomplished up to that point in life, and with all of the success in real estate and just the exposure, I was doing it for the wrong reason. And so now I understand why I'm here. And when you're already on borrowed time, I call it, it's hard not to go big with everything you do, not to wake up full of energy and to just push. And with my passion pulls me through my failures, and I have failed a lot. So you say, how has the passion helped me snowball in all of my successes? I think that we as individuals, we always tend to remember our failures and our losses more than our wins. But there's been a lot of those, but I'm just failing so fast that when I come up to a success, right, or when I come up to a victory, people say, oh, he just won. I'm like, yeah, but there were 10 failures in between that. But that's because I'm getting up and I'm going, because everything I'm doing right now is bigger than me.
I can't agree with you more than 100%. I mean, that without question. Social media, and especially with social media today, I mean, you've got everybody portrays such, I mean, nothing but wonderful things. But they forget about those 10, terrible moments, or, rock bottom moments before all those good things. And yeah, I can't agree with you more. So where does you drive? I mean, where does all that come from? Obviously your passion, but who or what pushes you? I mean,
so that's a question that is easy for me to answer, and I don't want to offend anyone with my answer. But first is God. For me, everything I do is for God, and for why I'm here. But then I know that God has put reminders in my life every day, like my wife. I think that she is the most amazing person in the world, because as in the short interaction that you had with me and everyone has with me, you saw I was making fun of my wife in the class in New Jersey, and there everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, you have to put up with him." So I believe that she is the number one, and then my son. And then after those two, it's trying to do for others what has already been done for me, because as I said,
Sure.
I don't believe I deserve anything that's happened to me, but I've had some really amazing people come along my journey and look at me and see things in me that I never saw in myself. So then I now have a duty, right? So it's sort of like with the passing of the torch. I know that my time here is limited, whether it's in real estate or teaching or whatever. I know that my time is limited, and the mark of great leader is how many leaders did he develop, and that's what keeps me going. So even when I get tired, I have like a 5-second countdown rule. So I always, like, mentally, when my alarm goes off or when I'm asked to do something, I have 5 seconds to make a decision. Otherwise, I feel like I'm going to miss my shuttle to whatever the mission is or the goal is. So if you ask me a question, Chris, and I'm sitting here like 5, 4, 3, just know that you're going to get a response within 5 seconds. It might look like I'm zoning out, but I'm processing everything.
Sure.
But my wife, my son, my legacy, and the impact that I can have on everyone else, all of those are in line right after my love and my belief in God.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, which puts me to say you obviously are a leader. We can see that. You obviously you own your own brokerage. I believe 13 agents under you.
Yes, sir.
So what do you tell your agents? How do you what do you tell them to get to where you are? I mean, what does that look like?
So it is so in my brokerage, we have 4 pillars of success. And so I am I guess I'm just repetitive. I'm just a parrot. I'm just repeating the same thing over and over. Our 4 pillars of success. The first one is excellence. Everything that we do, we want to have a spirit of excellence. If it's not excellent, we're not doing it. The second thing is going to be growth. Everything that we do, we always have a growth mindset. And then leadership. I believe that everything rises and falls on leadership. So we have growth, excellence, leadership, and then strength as a family. And that's mental strength, personal strength, physical strength. So those are our 4 pillars of success. And so I believe I'm always telling them those 4 things. But then in addition to that, I tell them, don't worry about reputation so much, focus on integrity. So we know that in real estate, we see everyone has a tagline, something integrity. And so I used to tell them that the only 2 things we had in this industry were our time and our reputation. But then one of my mentors would say, "Hey, Neal, I just want to challenge you a little bit on, your perception. You saying time and reputation. Time, yes, we understand that time is limited. You have to maximize your time. But reputation is what other people say about you. Integrity is what you know to be true about yourself." So I'm always going back, and now I'm harping on, besides our 4 pillars of success, I'm harping on the integrity. Make sure you are who you say you are. Make sure you do what you're supposed to do. And if you live your life and run your business with integrity, I believe that everything else falls in line, because when you have to answer to yourself, when we have to answer to ourselves, and we're honest about that, there's nothing that anyone else can say or do that's going to shake that foundation.
I love that. You mentioned mentors. I don't know if I said this question, but did you have mentors?
Did I? Yes. Do I? Yes. Am I open to more mentors? Yes, man. My first 2 mentors actually got me into the business. I was working at Terminex, pest control, doing WDO inspections, and this agent, I probably had done 2 or 3 inspections for him, and he was like, "Dude, you're too sharp to be crawling under these crawl spaces. Why don't you come sell houses?" And God forbid, I apologize, Terminex, but I didn't even give my 2 weeks notice. I was like, "What? I get to sell this stuff? Okay." And so the next day I was over in his office. So Roman Pavlik and Brad Arnowitz were my first 2 mentors, next to my dad, right? So my dad was my very first mentor. But the story is, my dad was 60 when I was born. So our relationship was much different than kids whose dads were much younger. right? So we spent a lot of time talking on the porch, fishing on the creeks back in Alabama. That's where a lot of the time that we had came. So next to my dad, then Roman and Brad. And since then, I've been blessed with mentors in every area of my life. But I've been intentional about seeking them out because my dad told me at an early age to seek the wisdom of those who have already walked the trails you're trying to travel. And this, like I said, that goes back to having a dad who was much older, wiser, had already been in the Navy, had already lived what I feel like was 100 lifetimes before I even came. Right.
Sure.
So having him, and then having, mentors at the local level in real estate, having, a spiritual mentors, having business mentors and coaches. So for me, I don't care if you call it a mentor or coach. If you have someone who cares about you deeply and who wants to see you succeed and who's willing to make sacrifices for your benefit, those are the types of people you want in your circle. You want as many of those people in your circle as you can find.
100%. And I love that with my dad. Especially, I look at that too. My dad, I've always wanted to be a professional golfer. And I remember I was probably, I don't know, 10 or 11. And my dad basically quit his corporate job, to be able to become, a golf professional and work at a club, so that I could pursue that and be able to do that every day. He sacrificed stuff for me so that I could, create my dream. And I was able to do that. And he's a hero to me. Same thing. I mean, he was in the Army and all kinds of things. And just to hear stories and, I'm forever grateful. And he was always my first mentor, and still is. I mean, he's my hero today, but I know exactly what you mean. And I always say I learn something every day, something new every day, and it can come from anywhere. Most of the time it's from my mentors as well, where I'm like, man, I've known you for 10 years and you've never said that to me. Like, this is something new that I've, that I'm learning today.
Now, Chris, I want to interrupt you right here, and I just want to ask you a question. I want to flip the script a little bit. So we were both fortunate to be blessed with dads, right, in our lives who made a significant impact on us. And so
Sure.
I just want to ask you, and then also, just bring to the mind of everyone who might be watching this, whether it's live or after it's recorded. Do they understand? Do you understand how big a deal that is, especially when we see where our young men and our boys are going now who don't have that in their lives? So that's one of the reasons, how you asked me what my passion is. Like I said, when I say I'm extremely blessed and I'm fortunate to do what I do with the people that I do it with, and to have my dad in my life for such a long time, I know that for us, we understand it, but I'm not sure that everyone who had that they understand what it is and what it meant.
Yeah, I mean, wow. I did not understand that until I got older. When I look back and really understand exactly what, my parents in general, exactly what they did to be able for me to do what I do today. All the sacrifices that they made, I really didn't understand that until later in life. When you're little and you don't realize that, and like my sons probably don't realize the things that I do for them. They have no clue, but at some point in time, I hope that they do. I try and teach them along the way and understand, especially with my wife, we try to, teach them, this is, be grateful for this. There are children out there that don't have this. And we try to teach them that, and, hopefully they take those lessons and they try to help in any way they can, and understand just how lucky they are, to have loving parents and et cetera. I'm super grateful for my parents and my dad and my mom. I mean, my dad was there every step of the way. My mom was there every step of the way. And they still are today. So
cool. Super cool.
Man. It's to live, right now I'm living through my kids, I want them to succeed. And I mean, I can't that's all I want. I just want them to succeed in life and just watch it all unfold. Because I didn't really understand that until later in life, really what the sacrifices my parents did for me.
Cool.
Yeah. Thanks for that question, man.
Oh.
Wasn't expecting the question, but that's all right.
My bad.
No, not at all. I love that. So many people struggle with patience, right? They end up bouncing around from opportunity to opportunity, never really seizing the opportunity in front of them. What role does patience play, in your life and your business? You've seized pretty much every opportunity.
Well, and see, that goes back to the appearance. It seems like that, but patience. Now you see my mind working, right? You see it. Okay. Patience has really played a part in everything that I do. Everything, man. And so whether it's patience or perseverance for me, potato. But a lot of the opportunities that I've seized is by default, meaning that I was just the last man standing. I came in, and I'm the type that once I lay hold to something, I'm going to stick with it. And if I have to win because everyone else quits or everyone else walks away, I'm totally fine with that. So whether it's a forfeit or a win by 100 points, 1 point, a win is a win in my book. So for everything that I've done, I've laid my eyes on it and I've moved forward to it. But I think one reason, I haven't always been this way, right? But what I started to understand is the power and the importance of vision, right? And I'm not talking about some spiritual vision or physical vision. I'm just meaning, what do you see and what do you believe, right? So I keep going because I always keep in my mind of what's out in front of me. So you guys can probably see right above me right here, all this little foolishness and this mess, that's my vision board, right? I have the same thing on my phone as a background. I have the same thing on my computer as a background. So I always know what I'm going after or what I'm going towards. And then this vision board gets updated. Yes, we hear it all the time. We know that it's antiquated. We know that it's an old logic, old blah, 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 but it works. So the reason why I'm able to endure is because whenever I get tired, and that's frequently, so I do get tired because I'm pushing so hard, but whenever I get to the point where I don't want to continue, what gives me patience to endure is the fact that once I get and I hold my head down, I can look up and I see, okay, this is what I'm going after. This is why, why I'm remaining consistent. And for me, that helps. I believe that would help a majority of people who are jumping from opportunity to opportunity, especially in a microwave society. Part of what the reason why I am the way I am is of a saying that my mom used to tell me, and she still tells me to this day. It says, once a task has begun, it's not a job until it's done. No matter the task, great or small, do it right or not at all. Right. So it all goes back to once you start something, you see it to completion. That goes, when I was in 7th grade, I was in 4-H. I don't even know if you guys know what 4-H is. But 4-H, it was an agricultural, program at school. And I had signed up to do meat judging. Right. So we would judge cuts of meat like steak, pork chops, veal, all this. Like, what am I doing judging meat? And I wanted to quit about a weekend. And my mom says, you started it, you're going to finish. No matter the task, great or small, do it right or not at all. And so we go through, and this is in 7th grade, a kid who had no idea what he's doing, but I end up winning the state competition in meat judging. And so now I'm like, how in the world can that help me in life, right? But now when I go to restaurants or when I go to stores and I want to choose a cut of meat, I know the exact amount of marbling that it should have if I'm going to do it on the grill versus in an oven, right? Things that I'm sitting here now, you're like, Neal, oh my gosh, that meat you cooked was so, so I digress. But I say all of that to say it's just persistence and not giving up and having a vision. But then for me, patience plays such a big part in today's society because everyone around us, and I'm not going to say everyone, the majority of people around us want it now. We want everything right now. If we can't have it now, we don't see a value in it. So if you were challenged with, jumping from opportunity to opportunity, I'm just going to say, just hold on for one more step, one more day. another hour, another call, another pop by, another handwritten note in your business, just one more. Because if you do one more with each step, I'm not going to say it gets easier, but you do get closer to the finish line. And there is a finish line. Now, the problem is once you hit the finish line, you have to set a new goal for a new finish line. But patience is so big right now, especially if you really, really want goals. I think that, as you said, with social media, we see everyone living their best life, just like Lil Duval says, I'm living my best life right now, but we forget what it took for them to get there, how long it took. A mistake that I made early on was my mom and dad, they had 13 acres back in Alabama, beautiful house, lots of land, timber trees and everything. So when I got married, I was looking at what they had, right? I'm like, that's what I want. But then my mom had to slow me down, say, son, you do understand that we're 40 years ahead of you, right? I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about that, right? But just those constant reminders being in place, and then just evaluate what's important to you. If we're willing to, and I went to service last night, he was talking about, are you willing to suffer for the vision? Are you willing to suffer for the goal that you have in place? And I don't believe that anyone enjoys waiting, right? No one wakes up and says, yes, I get to wait today, right? But it's in that wait that we get better and we find out who we are and we really find out what we're made of.
So I see on your vision board back there, you've got sunshine, palm trees. You do know you live in sunshine and palm trees. So I'm looking to go, that my vision is to go to where you are currently. So where does that take place?
What, this?
You live in sunshine and palm trees.
I know that, but that's Tahiti. So the wife and I are trying to get to Tahiti. And as much as so you know, I don't like the heat, right? I told you that I like the cool weather. I have Egypt on there. I don't know why my wife wants to go to Egypt to see the pyramids. Hopefully I can get a speaking gig over there and write that off, right? And get paid to go to Egypt and get paid to go to Tahiti. So if any of your audience members or audience or have connections to Tahiti with or Egypt or Cuba, I don't think that we could do real estate in Cuba. I don't think that's happening.
I've got a few connections. I got a few connections in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. If you want to switch climates,
I don't know what to do with that, Chris. Right now, I'm your friend and I love you. That's one of the things where you just throw out there and it just falls down, and I'm just
Well, Inman Connect's going on right now in New York. And it's just as cold.
Yeah, I know. And Neal is here in Miami. You're right.
Oh boy. All right. So structure. Let's talk about structure. Building structures. What role in habits, routines played in life and success and family with you're a very structured person. From what I know and see. So how has that played a role?
A huge role, simply because structure and systems, they remove doubt, they remove confusion. So anytime people know what's happening, we as a people, we like as little change as possible, right? So the flip side of change is habit. So if I can get in a habit, if I can get my body, if I can get my mind working, on a continual basis where I'm operating without thinking, just like breathing or walking, if I can get as much of my life as I can operating like that, I believe that's a huge benefit. But I don't want to take away the spontaneity, right? So I don't want to say, okay, yes, I'm just going through life like it's Groundhog's Day over and over and over again. But for me, habits are important because I believe that habits, so many of the success coaches say, if you want to show me, or if I want to see where you're going to be in 5 or 6 years or 10 years, let me spend a week with you. Right. I can tell by your habits where you're going to be.
Right.
I never wanted to recreate anything. I know that I wanted to be successful. I know that I wanted to have a good life. I know that, I wanted to be happy, but I didn't want to personally. This is me. I don't know if I'm lazy or smart. So I didn't want to recreate it and bump my head along the way. So I know that, for instance, we're always talking about Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. So when I was exposed to different systems and processes and habits that I could learn and not have to get those headaches and heartaches. If I could say, all right, if I wake up at this time and if I start my day with a little devotion and, quiet time and meditation and exercise, that will put me ahead of the competition or put me ahead of the masses. Oh, that's a habit that I need to adopt. So for me, when I see what the other successful people are doing and whatever success is for them, but when I know that if I want to achieve at a higher level, the habits play into that. Now, on a flip side, for the consumers or the people on the other side of my life, what that means is they know what they're getting when they deal with Neal. Right. So they know that on Sundays all day, I'm going to be volunteering at church. Right. So therefore, many of my clients know that's a habit and part of my routine. So they know they can get me on Saturdays or Monday during the week, except for Wednesday. Right. So that helps my business, but it also helps me personally because I still get fed. I believe that in real estate, especially after being in the industry for 14 years, being licensed, for 12 or 13, I believe that we make the mistake as realtors and real estate agents where we give so much to everyone else and always running that we don't build in time to take care of ourselves. And so one of the habits that I make sure that I do is build in date night for me and my wife, build in family game night with our son. So these are things that we have plugged in so that while we're hustling and going all day, it still doesn't take away from the things I need for Neal to be the man, husband, father, leader that I need to be. But then also with my team, habits that make or break, right? The one that none of us want to admit is prospecting, right? And I know we've been in the industry. We say prospecting, and people be like, oh, whatever prospecting is, that doesn't mean you have to pick up the phone, but your prospecting habit is going to determine how your business goes. That's something that we don't want to admit. But if you have poor habits when it comes to generating business, then your business is going to fail. And I know that that's something that I always try to communicate to everyone I come across. I was speaking to a young lady yesterday who had been in the industry for a month. And she said, what's one of the things that I need to know? I say that you are in the lead generation and prospecting business. And she looks at me like, what are you talking about? I said, without leads, your business dies. And that becomes a habit. And the more we do it, the easier it gets and the better we get. And then the more time we have to put in productive habits and, structures and procedures along the way. I hope I answered your question, because when you start talking about habits and procedures and processes, I'm a big structure guy with my dad being from the Navy. It was something like, hey, son, do this, make sure, you make your bed first thing in the morning, so there's still things that I'm teaching my son that I do. I still put my, shoes away the way my dad taught me before he passed away. Right. So I still wake up every morning and I go through my day. I have a routine at the end of the day. So, I know with habits, and procedures in general, just to maximize the effectiveness of life. Like Darren Hardy, he has great processes and systems and trainings. Brian Tracy, all of these guys and people that if you want something, if you can find someone who is where you want to be, more than likely they have already exposed or published their habits, and then you can say, all right, well, here's a system that I can follow so I don't have to beat my head up and so I don't have to have headaches and heartaches.
Sure. And my broker, I didn't realize that until, for me, third year in the business, my broker, he said, listen, you just have to work and there's nothing to it. So now I'm in the office every day, there's doing what I need to do. And yes, it's monotonous, but it pays off. You just have to have the patience and let it snowball from there. And that's the thing I see a lot with newer agents is they go a month in or 2 months in and, they don't see immediate results. And this is not a business for immediate results. Not at all. And, I not only that, but I hear so many agents go, man, I wish my phone would just not ring. And I'm like, it stops ringing. That's a problem. You want your phone to ring all the time. So
real quick. So Chris, on that note, my best friend Fremo, back in Birmingham, Alabama, we have this saying, so when I'm going, right. And whether I'm speaking, teaching, doing deals, I'm like, man, I'm running. He says, if you don't want to be hot, cool off and see what happens then. Right. So that's one of the things it's always that seesaw, right? So we want to ramp up our business, and then we get there, we're like, oh, we're going. Like, oh man, can I get a break? Well, you do understand what a break means, right? And so a piece of the knowledge or a piece of information that I would love to share with you, and something that one of my mentors told me, Frank Kowalski told me, and I just saw him last week up in Orlando. He told me that as realtors, you're in one of two positions. You're either unemployed or you're unemployable, right? And so me keeping that mindset and me understanding why I have to get up and prospect every day, whatever that looks like, whether it's me networking or me, going out to some type of function or me picking up the phone, making calls. And then you talked about how many realtors want immediate results, right? When I bring a new agent into my brokerage, I have that tough love, that uncle conversation. The uncle is the one that tells you all the stuff that you're not supposed to know that mom and dad protected you from, right? And so I tell them, I say, hey, this is a hard business. I think it's one of the greatest industries in the world, but it's hard. So you have to think about your activities today. You're not going to see benefits and rewards for a minimum of 45, 90 days, sometimes 120. And one of the toughest things as a broker is that when we come up to the holiday season, and I have agents, whether mine or just agents that I've coached or I've talked to out in the field, and they come and they say, Neal, it's going to be a really horrible Christmas. It's going to be tough. I can't provide for my family. And I'm sure you've had those conversations with agents and you hear it and your heart breaks for them. But then I come back and I say, but what were you doing in August? Right? What were you doing in September? Not as a brute, but then I want them to understand that December, a slack December or slack holiday season didn't happen on December 1st. Right? That's just not the way that our industry is set up. So we had an idea of what was going to happen 3 months, 4 months in advance. And just to get off of the topic a bit, us thinking of this as a business and not a hobby, and understanding how businesses operate and make sure that we have capital for those, slack periods is something that I would encourage everyone to look into. So that one's free. That one's free. So I'll give you guys that tip for free. That's something I had to learn the hard way. Right.
Oh yeah. I've learned the hard way many times. So my last question is, how do you define success? But before that, what does a typical day look like for Neal? Because you're speaking a lot of times. You've got a lot of you're involved with a lot of associations. Wife, child. I mean, what does a day look like for Neal?
I was doing good until you said wife and child. Then I just went
because you also, I mean, your clientele. I mean, what I saw you with, it was, beyond the velvet rope. So it was the affluent,
Right.
So like I said, that takes a lot of time and effort as well. So what does a typical day look like for you?
So it always starts early. So I set my alarm for 5 a.m. I don't always get up at 5. In full disclosure, I don't always get up at 5, but somewhere between 5 and 5:15, I'm up out of bed.
Sure.
And I'm always getting grounded, centered with my devotionals, my prayers, quiet time meditation, then jump on the elliptical outside. Well, I can get on the elliptical outside in our patio since we're here in Miami, right? So I just do want to just do that little jab. Then shower, clean up. Make sure I put on my bow tie, then have some breakfast. And I'm usually working out of a Starbucks Panera Bread just so I can be out in public. And depending on what my day looks like, as far as the teaching and the training, I always know those a month in advance. So that's not part of my typical day, but I am always using Facebook Messenger to reach out to ed directors or association executives, reaching out to them on pretty much on a daily basis. So that's part of my prospecting, just for people to see me. I'm big on visuals. So my prospecting from about 8:30 to 10 is usually video messages. So I use a lot of the SMS messages where I just shoot the videos right here on my phone and shoot it over to them in a text message. So for me, that's how my prospecting works. So and then after that, if it's a Wednesday, so Wednesday is the day that I follow up with all of my clients. And as you said, me working with the affluent, this goes back to me having a schedule and processes and procedures. They know that on Wednesdays, they're going to hear from me, whether it's good, bad, ugly, or no, if for no update at all. I'll just touch base with them on Wednesday. Tuesday is my most productive day during the morning. But then at 1:30, I make sure I go pick my son up, and that's when we have fun on after school. So Tuesday, that's when we have our family game night. Pick them up. We usually go to Subway. But then after in the midday, so usually I try to get in some type of lunch meeting with a client or a colleague, someone that I want to do business with or that I've been doing business with, maybe one of my mentors. So it goes to the prospecting in the morning after I'm cleaned. Then for lunch, I am doing some type of meeting. I really believe in the value of the face-to-face relationships. And then once I leave my lunch meeting or coffee, whatever it is, around noontime, that's when I'm out and, visiting, doing what I call pop buys, from the Brian Buffini method. I'm going by meeting people, dropping gifts off to them, saying, hey, or I might go to, if I have something, some of my kids, when I say my kids, some of my kids from church, if they're involved in after school activities like practices or something, I drop by the field or the school or the church where they're practicing, and I'll go see them, talk to their parents. And so it's really more networking and being out. Sure. And then in the evening, it is me winding down, responding to emails, making phone calls or sending messages back, and then preparing, make sure I set my calendar for the next day. So usually by 7:30, I've already planned my next day. And that's pretty much my routine. There may be, now what you hear that I did not say I have a lot of buyer or marketing appointments built in there. I don't time block, I don't put those into every day. Many of my appointments are done with, second home owners or people who are from outside of state, owner absentees. So I'll do those via Zoom or Skype, but then I'm just, fitting those in at their convenience. But the majority of my day is focused on creating and producing new business. So as long as I'm always, working to create new business, I find a way to put the business that's coming in or the business that I already have, I fit that into my schedule.
I like that. And that's something everybody should take. The other thing, you mentioned that you're checking emails, you're sending emails back later in the day. One of the biggest things that I see, and you did not mention that, is every time an email goes off, they're immediately trying to respond. So you've got specific times that you're checking and doing those so that you're not distracted throughout the entire day.
So focused, right? So being laser focused on whatever I'm doing. I'm reading a book right now called Present Over Perfect. And it's always talking about being where you are, be where your feet are. So I don't have any alerts set on my phone or my computer, with the exception of, like, for instance, right now, I'm getting alerts popping up on my computer screen about maintenance issues that I need to do or calendar events with people. But I have my email notifications off, right? I don't have my email notifications on my phone. I don't have text message notifications. So it's crazy, but the sound from my text messages are off. I don't have social. So I went through insane productivity with Darren Hardy, right? Through the program, through the system online. And what I started to see was that it takes 10 minutes and 20 something seconds every time we're distracted to get back on task. And the problem is that we're distracted every 3 minutes. So if it takes 10 minutes to get, refocused, and we're distracted every 3 minutes all day, we're never settled. Sure. So what I learned is that, and this may rub some people the wrong way, I found that there are no emergencies in real estate. And I say that as someone who's already attained a level of success. So I say that not to be rude or to dismiss anything that other people are going through, but I know that if you can't wait, let's say 2 hours for me to deal with something, I'm the wrong person to call. You either need to call the president or you need to call 911, right? If it can't wait 2 hours, I'm not the guy. But then that also goes back to me having people in place, whether it is my closing coordinator, my transaction manager, that if something happens on a closing, they're available. That's where their wheelhouse is. So I know that my dollar producing activity is to be out. But a lot of times people will, if they want me, they'll call me. I'm like I said, it goes back to the old school where people call me and say, hey, Neal, check your email. But the people who know me and who understand my routine, my system, and my habits, they know how to get in contact with me. So when people say, Neal, what's your contact info? Many times the only thing I give them is my phone number. And they'll say, well, what about your email address? I will call me first, and then I'll, that's depending on what it is. But I very seldom am I distracted. And it's one of these things where I might have right now maybe 50 notifications on my Facebook, the notification with the messages come back. But I have all of that off because I don't want to take away from whatever it is that I'm doing right now. This is the polar opposite of my wife. God bless her. So she's the type that if she sees any of the little orange dots or the number 1 next to something showing that she has a notification, she has to check it. Right. And she's like, babe. So she gets my phone and she's like, babe, that doesn't bother you? I'm like, what? She says, when you open your phone screen and you see this, I'm like, no, it has no effect on me. But that goes back to me being trained and me understanding that for everything that I'm doing, for me to get to where I want to go, because I'm still so far away, I know that I have to be, disciplined and, regimented in what I'm doing for the time that I have.
Fantastic. Oh, man, that just made me tired listening to that.
I'm sorry.
Man. No, I like that though. Not getting distracted, and that's we see. So many people get distracted because of that. So Darren Hardy, that's where you went on his online training.
Yep. So Darren Hardy, but it started with the Compound Effect, the book that he wrote.
Okay.
Just about understanding that. So I don't say so. We always hear about time management, right? And so from Darren Hardy, and then he learned from Brian Tracy, and then Jim Rohn and all them. And what we have to understand is that time, that you can only manage people, you can't manage time. Time is infinite, right? So we can't control something. So what the phrase that I've coined is productivity mastery, right? And so Darren Hardy has insane productivity. So if I can master productivity, whatever it is, making sure that I'm as productive as possible. If I'm doing what I call the dollar productive activities or the income producing activities, if I can spend as much time as I can doing those, then I know I'll have time to do the defensive work. And when I say defensive, and this is what one more segue or side note. When we talk about emails, I want everyone to understand what an email is. An email that you receive is a request by someone else or from someone else to do what they want when they want it, right? So an email is a request from someone else for you to do what they want when they want it. And I understand what that is. I understand what an email is. And an email puts us in defensive position, right? So being a former football player, being in a defensive position, you're always at the mercy. You're reacting to what everyone else does. If your business is spent in your life, let's just talk about life. If your life is spent in defensive position all the time, reacting off of what someone else sends you or what someone else does, it's going to be a very reactive and difficult life to live and difficult business to run. So what I do and what I urge all the agents that I have and any agent that I meet, I want us to be offensive minded. Right. And I think this is perfect with the Super Bowl coming up. But offensive minded people attack. They're going out. They're dictating what's happening. They're dictating their life. They're dictating, their business, what happens, who they're sending emails to. Now, since I understand what emails are, I send out a lot of emails at night, and then I draft them at night and I just use my Outlook offline. And so then when I open up in the morning and it goes back online, all my emails are sent. So people are thinking that I drafted, all the emails in the morning. But I understand I'm using the human nature against them and for my benefit. Now, once again, you could say that that's mean or rude, but that's just the business, and I understand what it is. And so I know that if people are getting hit with my emails 9 o'clock, 9:30 in the morning, I know that by 11, I'll have all the responses I need, and then I can address those, 5:30. And then if there's an emergency, my email says, give me a call, but I'm not getting that many phone calls. So I just want everyone to understand that being defensive and responding to emails is totally different than being offensive and sending emails and doing dollar productive activities.
Nice. Well, listen, if somebody wanted to reach out to you, somebody, has buyer seller in your area or anything like that, or just wanted to chat, what's the best way to reach out to you?
So I'm from Alabama, so we still use smoke signals. We use homing pigeons. No? Okay. All right. So I know. See, you're trying to be serious and you want me to give you a serious answer, and I'm trying. I've held it in for so long that now Neal the kid is starting to bubble up.
The pigeon is good. I tried to train a pigeon to bring a note, but he wouldn't fly that far.
Right. So the best way, as you guys probably guessed by now, is going to be phone. My phone number is 7. Oh, am I allowed to give out my phone number on here or not?
We'll put it in the comments, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 786-897-4832. 786-897-4832. Next to that, I am on social media. I guess not all the time, but I'm effective when I'm on there. So like with you and I, we can communicate through IG Messenger or Facebook Messenger. So that's one of the things where I don't have to worry about losing it. It's easy for me to see when I go in. So, Mr. World Renowned on Facebook, on Instagram, and Twitter. If people are still twittering or tweeting or twitting, whatever. Or the easy way is you could just Google Neal Oates Jr. I've been doing a lot of stuff for a long time, so now I'm up there, right? And I think that's a testament in itself that I've been here long enough. Like I said, I've just outlasted all the other Neal Oateses. There's one over in England that he was around for a little bit, but then I just kept putting out more content, and he just fell down.
What about the speaking? They can reach out to you. Do you pretty much go anywhere?
So I go, well, that's one of the great things. My wife, she works remotely. So we travel. I tell them we're like good luggage. We travel really, really well. So actually the easiest way above everything else to find out everything that I do is to go to nealoatesjr.com. So Neal Oates Jr. has everything I do, has all of my social media feeds in there. And that's Neal, Neal. OATESJR.com. NealOatesJr.com has everything I do. That's where you can, get information on how I speak or where am I speaking, presenting keynotes, teaching. We are releasing an e-course later this year, but in February next month, we'll be releasing a couple of e-courses just to help agents, really maximize their effectiveness in the global marketplace. And then in April, we'll be releasing one for working with the affluent clientele and the Beyond the Velvet Rope.
Fantastic. I will put all that stuff below, so everybody can just click on it. Yes, everything below. I can't thank you enough for coming on, and thank you for the friendship, and looking forward to continuing that.
Well, I appreciate it, sir. And don't worry, I already know how you're gonna pay me back, right? I already know how you're gonna pay me back. But you had me nervous, man. I'm used to asking questions. I'm used to, being in your seat. And so when you started asking me questions, I'm like, oh my gosh. Hopefully I wasn't shaking too much in the video.
I'll have to come down. We'll play around the golf down by you.
Now, I do want to say, even I'm a great caddy. That's what I'm. Well, I'm not even a great caddy. I'm a great bag carrier, right? So that's what I'm great at. I've never played a single hole of golf in my life.
Stop.
No, I'm very serious. So when I go with my clients, once again, they understand what they're getting, right? So they say, Neal, do you want to come with us? Do you want to come along, tag along? Absolutely, man. We have great times, but with the way my hips and my body and my back is set up and my knees, there's something about when I put that club in my hand, I think it's just bad for everyone. So if you do come down, when you come down and we do that, I guarantee there will have to be a camera recording every minute of it.
100%. Absolutely. Well, Neal, thank you very much. Have a great day. I mean, you know, how can you not? It's not zero like it is here, but enjoy, you know, tell the wife and Junior that, you know, much love from our family, and I appreciate it.
Will do, sir. And I want to close out your show like I close out mine from my end. So to you, Chris, thank you, sir. This brotherhood, this friendship that we're growing already, I know it's going to be one for the ages. But for anyone who's watching, regardless of what it is, just know that I love you, even if I've never met you. I don't know what you're going through. We all have stuff. Just know that your stuff is not too great to deal with and to handle. So if you ever need anything, if you need to hear that you're loved, reach out to me. I love telling strangers that I love them, right? Weirdo stuff. But just know that you have value, that you are more valuable than you could ever believe or know. And you guys keep following Chris. He's an amazing man, dad, husband, and he's one of the good guys. He's one of the good guys. And the secret is that we need to get out more is that the good guys do win in the end.
Thank you, sir. And thank you for your time.
My pleasure.